Archaeologists have hailed a latest discovery, an almost perfectly well-preserved mummy estimated to be almost 800 years old.
That's amazing. She's so complete. That's the first thing. And you found this.
I was the first archaeologist to ever come into this cave, and I still recall that day, this section, and looking at this, I was dumbfounded.
Something I thought I would never see in my entire career. There was a clearly primitive hominid.
Welcome to the world of frozen mysteries, where Earth's past comes alive.
Совершенно уникальная, она полностью сохранилась без никаких видимых внешних повреждений.
From finding prehistoric beasts to exploring lost civilizations.
Almost 800 cave sites that were all entryways into the underworld that I hadn't been in yet, and that was the mission.
Stumbling over mammoths to the discoveries of ancient artifacts.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yes.
This video, filled with countless icy anomalies, will leave you stunned, so stay tuned.
Oh my god.
Frozen Caveman. This is what the locals of Golden Valley woke up to. It was a strangely preserved figure inside an ice cube that emerged out of nowhere, while the people gathered around it to figure out the truth.
Great. Good time to get out and enjoy our parks, too.
It looks like a real person inside the ice.
One man solved this riddle for them. He revealed that the caveman's name was Zug Zug, and it was a piece of art. The artists worked hard to make Zug Zug look just like a real caveman from long ago.
Look really real. I wanted it to really impress folks, and I tried my hardest to make it as realistic as possible.
They even gave him an axe to hold. So yeah, it might be a disappointment for the mystery hunters, but not for the art lovers. Small creature. A video was uploaded online and caught everyone's attention.
This creature in your hands, you know that you have a real mystery.
It showed that scientists found a weird, small creature that looked a bit humanoid. It had big eyes, pale skin, and even a tail. The researchers, who were still shocked at their discovery, did everything they could to figure out what it was. They even collected some DNA samples to identify its species. But no results till now had been released.
It's a very strange specimen. It has human characteristics.
Some people believe it is the actual evidence of extraterrestrial existence in our world. Cave tomb. Imagine entering into a cave and finding it full of ancient bodies. That's exactly what happened at a Lapatropa cave in southern Greece.
Greece, and one of the richest in Europe.
Scientists had dug up more than 150 bodies in this cave, and they kept finding more.
Of Athens, the Greece of the Acropolis, came from. You need to look way back in the past.
They thought it might have been the entrance to Hades, the Greek underworld. The cave was super important because it showed us how people lived 8,000 to 5,000 years ago. These early farmers were like the great-grandparents of the ancient Greeks we learned about in school. Who knew a cave could be so full of history? It's like the world's oldest time capsule. Vampire skeletons. Some archaeologists were digging in a cave near the Black Sea in Bulgaria when they found two really old skeletons that looked pretty spooky. These weren't just any old bones. They looked like what people used to think vampires would look like. They're now on display at a museum. Reporters came from all over to take pictures of these creepy skeletons. Who knows? Maybe they were hoping to catch the vampires waking up for a midnight snack. Crystal Lady.
That's amazing. She's so complete. That's the first thing. And you found this.
Imagine hiking through the jungle and finding a spooky cave full of ancient Maya secrets. That's exactly what happened in Belize when explorers discovered the ATM cave.
The ancient Maya considered caves to be portals to the underworld, the supernatural realm where their deities and ancestors...
Inside, they found a super creepy being, a naturally preserved skeleton of a Maya woman who was sacrificed long ago. They called her the Crystal Lady because her bones were covered in sparkly cave minerals. It's like nature turned her into a crystal statue. They thought it was the entrance to the underworld and did some pretty scary rituals there. A similar case was reported above. Yuka's icy tail. Researchers made a shocking discovery in Russia that would change everything they knew about the past. What could it be? A woolly mammoth named Yuka. This big and hairy elephant from long ago was frozen in ice for 39,000 years. It's like finding a giant stuffed animal in your freezer. The Yuka still had her trunk and tusks. But here's the exciting part. Yuka had marks that looked like they were made by humans. This discovery helps us learn about how our ancestors lived with these giant animals. Yuka is teaching us so much about the past. It's like she's the world's oldest teacher. Mammoth Mysteries. Investigators have found many woolly mammoths frozen in ice, and some are amazingly well preserved. It's like nature's freezer kept them safe for thousands of years. One special find was a baby mammoth named Lyuba, who was only 1 month old when she froze. They could even see what she ate for her last meal. Another discovery was a mammoth with liquid still inside, as if it was just taking a long nap. These frozen mammoths help us learn about life long ago, and some investigators even think they might bring mammoths back to life. What a cool discovery! Ice Age pony. Scientists in Russia found an amazing species frozen in the ice. It's like finding a toy pony that's been in the freezer since the Ice Age.
Совершенно уникальная, она полностью сохранилась без никаких видимых внешних повреждений.
A baby horse from 40,000 years ago. This little horse was part of a species called lens cave that doesn't exist anymore.
То есть сохранились не только внутренние органы, но...
It was so well preserved, it looked like it could wake up and start running around. Now, the horse is on a special table where scientists are studying it carefully. They hope it can tell them what the world looked like way back then. It's like having a time machine, but instead of riding in it, you ride the horse. Ice-preserved wolf.
Not just any head, a 40,000-year-old wolf's head.
In northern Russia, a local person made an amazing discovery. He found the head of an ancient wolf, perfectly preserved in ice. Scientists believe that this wolf lived almost 40,000 years ago. It was found in 2018 in a place called Yakutia, thanks to the very cold ground there called permafrost. Its head looks almost new. Its fur is dry, and you can even see its tongue. Now, scientists from Russia, Japan, and Sweden are studying this incredible find. They're using the latest technology to learn more about this ancient wolf and the world it lived in long ago. Coin surprise. Imagine clearing a part of the forest and coming across a buried treasure. That's what happened near Livorno, Italy, when an archaeologist found a weird object buried in the soil. He came to know that those were 175 shiny Roman coins hidden in the forest. These coins were super old and in great shape, which looked rare. Researchers believe that these might have belonged to a soldier from way back in the 91-88 BC wars, giving us a flashback into Roman history. Armored giant. In a shocking discovery, miners in Alberta found an actual dinosaur fossil, a nodosaur. It is the best preserved fossil of its kind ever unearthed. This dinosaur lived approximately 110 million years ago and was naturally covered in armor. One of the most striking features of this nodosaur is the two 20-inch spikes on its shoulders, a unique characteristic that adds to its impressive appearance. The fossil measures an astonishing 18 feet long and weighs nearly 3,000 pounds, making it both big and ancient. The scientists were surprised by this find. Its remarkable preservation gives us incredible insights into prehistoric life. Wall wonders. Archaeologists have discovered secrets hidden in the Great Wall of China. Near Yulin City in China, they dug up a super cool thing. An ancient fort that's been playing hide-and-seek for hundreds of years. It's called the Qingping Fort, and it's from way back in the Ming Dynasty. People used it for trading and having fairs. Imagine buying your groceries at a fort. The archaeologists found 2 courtyards and lots of old stuff, including some statues. They had to clean them very carefully. This discovery shows that even after all this time, the Great Wall still has some surprises up its stony sleeve. Neanderthal Neighbors. Guess what? Some Italian archaeologists just came across a big surprise. In a cave near Rome, they found the remains of 9 Neanderthals. It was like finding a frozen neighborhood from a long time ago. The bones looked almost 100,000 years old. That means much older than your great-great-grandparents. They also found animal bones from elephants, rhinos, and giant deer. It's like they uncovered an ancient zoo. This cave has been keeping secrets since 1939 when they found the first Neanderthal skull. Scientists are super excited because this discovery will tell them how ancient Italians lived. Musical mummy. Finding a 3,000-year-old priest with his band. In Peru, archaeologists dug up the tomb of an ancient priest. But this wasn't just any old grave. It was filled with cool stuff. They found musical instruments and snail shells from Ecuador, which was far away. The snails weren't for eating. They were used as decorations. This priest was buried with his seashells about 200 years before anyone else in the area.
Strombus snails are native to Ecuador, not Peru. That means they were brought to the location from a great distance.
Who knows? Maybe they'll find his prehistoric playlist next. Alien artifacts. In the Nazca region, famous for its mysterious giant drawings on the ground, found a cave packed with old stuff. But here's the weird part. Some of the mummies had long heads and only 3 fingers. Now grave robbers are swiping these spooky-looking mummies and selling them. It's like they're running an alien yard sale. These are now enjoyed in museum display cases. Scientists said these aren't aliens, just unusually shaped ancient people giving us the old vibes. Washington's cherries. Is cherry your favorite fruit? If not, I promise it will become your favorite after that.
Finding what is essentially fresh fruit 250 years later.
In Mount Vernon, Washington's old home, archaeologists dug up 35 glass bottles full of cherries and berries.
The total bottle count was 35 bottles. That's recovered from 6 different storage pits. Of that 35, 6 were broken, so 29 of the bottles contained intact fruit contents.
Talk about a vintage fruit cocktail. The fruit is 250 years old and still there after all this time.
And all of that stuff is woven into a new cuisine, an American cuisine, and this is part of that.
It's like finding your great-great-great-grandpa's forgotten lunchbox. Investigators thought the enslaved people at Mount Vernon probably preserved the fruit. The Department of Agriculture wants to do DNA tests on the fruit. Maybe they'll discover George Washington invented a super cherry that never goes bad. Buddha surprise. Imagine you discover that your family treasure is a very special and rare find. That's exactly what happened to one family in France. For years, they had a wooden statue of Guanyin Bodhisattva, a Buddhist figure, just relaxing in their home. Little did they know, this 3-foot-tall statue was from the 12th century.
Something that had been treasured at home. So it had been with the grandfather who died very early on.
They had no clue it was worth anything. It was just Grandpa's old statue that got passed down. Now, experts say this wooden wonder could sell for about $1 million. That's one expensive family decoration. Somewhere in France, there's a family probably thinking, maybe we should check what else Grandpa left us in the attic. Ancient temple. Guess what? Some super old temple just popped up in Peru. While digging, archaeologists discovered an entrance that was 3,000 years old. This wasn't any old building. It belonged to the Chavin people who lived way before the Incas. The temple was high up in the Andes Mountains, probably to be closer to the gods. The main archaeologist mentioned that the temple is probably closed for good because it is not safe anymore. Mammoth Discovery. Workers in Mexico were digging for a new airport when they hit the jackpot. But not the kind you're thinking. They found a group of woolly mammoth bones. The site was close to Mexico City, and scientists said it's one of the biggest mammoth boneyards ever. They believed that at least 100 mammoths were buried there. These mammoths existed 10,000 years ago, so that means the great-grandfathers of today's elephants. Ancient winery. Archaeologists in Iraq have discovered what is believed to be the oldest wine press in the Middle East, dating back 2,700 years. This impressive stone structure features 14 basins carved into the mountain and is located in a village called Kanas. Researchers suggest that this could be the second oldest wine press in the world, raising the question, is this where the Mesopotamians went for happy hour? Scientists are currently working to determine what the ancient wine might have tasted like. Desert Monolith. Las Vegas is famous for its glamour, but now it has something even shinier. In the desert north of the city, a mysterious metal monolith has appeared. The police were just as surprised as everyone else when they spotted it during a search and rescue mission. It's not the first time these strange structures have popped up. Maybe aliens are trying to enhance their Vegas vacation. Whatever it is surely very surprising. Roman treasure. Have a bad day? Then give it a read. In East Devon, England, a man with a metal detector uncovered a collection of 22,000 Roman coins. That's right, 22,000 coins. This is one of the biggest collections ever discovered. You can picture his surprised face when he saw what he had found.
Smile.
I'm smiling, all right?
It felt like winning the lottery, but instead of money, he got very, very old coins. The finder was probably just looking for some spare change, and he ended up with a small fortune from 2,000 years ago. Human discovery. Experts in South Africa just found a bunch of old bones that are shaking up everything we thought we knew about human history.
Almost 800 cave sites that were all entryways into the underworld that I hadn't been in yet, and that was the...
In 2015, a doctor and his team explored through some tight caves and came across something amazing.
Fit you are and how good you are at squeezing through very tight space.
A brand new human-like species. They named this new cousin Homo naledi. It lived about 300,000 years ago and was different from us. It had a small head and narrow shoulders, but walked on two legs just like we do. It's like finding out you have a long-lost relative who's part human, part puzzle.
Something I thought I would never see in my entire career. There was a clearly primitive hominid.
Dino Baby. Scientists in China found a super cool being. A dinosaur egg with a baby dino still inside. This little guy, nicknamed Baby Yingliang, was 66 to 72 million years old. This baby dino was curled up just like a little chicken getting ready to hatch. Scientists thought only birds did this, but now they know even scaly dinos had some bird-like tricks. This discovery is helping scientists understand how dinosaurs and birds are related. Who knew a fossil could be so egg-citing? Ancient game scorekeeper. Explorers in Mexico discovered a super rare thing in an old Mayan city called Chichen Itza. It was like finding an old scoreboard from a game played over 1,000 years ago. This ancient scoreboard was a round stone and very big. Can you imagine trying to lift it? It took over 100 years to finally see who won the game. The stone had pictures of two players and a ball, plus some old Mayan writing. It's like finding the world's oldest sports magazine. This discovery helps us learn how the Mayans played their special ball game. Unicorn surprise. A local in Texas got a big shock while digging in his garden. He found what looked like a unicorn skull buried in the dirt. When he carefully brushed off the dust with his gloved hands, he saw a long, sharp horn sticking out. It was so pointy, it looked like an arrowhead. The skull seemed really old, maybe even 60 years old. The local was so excited, he took lots of pictures. He couldn't wait to show everyone his magical garden. Dino Discovery. Some smart investigators in Argentina made a huge discovery. They dug up bones from a dinosaur that might be the biggest ever. This giant dinosaur was called a titanosaur. It was so big that it probably made the ground shake when it walked. Even though it was massive, it only ate plants. The investigators have been working like puzzle masters since 2012, putting all the pieces together. They found the bones stuck in thick mud. This titanosaur was longer. It's amazing to think these giant creatures once roamed the earth. Ancient armory. Archaeologists in Israel found a super cool treasure that will make your day. Really old Roman swords.
Oh my god! Whoa!
These swords were hiding in a cave near the Dead Sea for almost 2,000 years. They were probably put there by some brave Jewish rebels against the Romans long ago. The swords still had their wooden handles and leather parts. It's like they were waiting for someone to pick them up and use them again. This amazing find helps us learn more about the battles that happened way back in history. Ancient scroll surprise. Explorers in Israel found something amazing and ancient at the same time in some old caves. They discovered pieces of an ancient scroll with Bible stories written on it. The scroll was found in the Cave of Horror. This was a scary name for a place where people hid from angry Romans a long time ago. It was like a game of hide and seek that lasted for many years. It was written in Greek, but interestingly, God's name was in Hebrew. It's like the writer was playing language mix and match. These old pieces of paper are super important because they teach us about history. It's like finding a really old diary that tells us how people lived way back then. Cave critter craze. A video went viral showing some super weird cave animals. They've lost their eyes and skin color after being in the dark for so long. These critters, called troglobites, lived in caves cut off from the outside world. These cave specialists, like blind salamanders and white crabs, have cool superpowers. They can sense tiny movements and survive for months without food. It's amazing how these strange creatures manage to live in such a tricky place. They're like nature's ultimate survivors. Prehistoric ski discovery. In Norway's snowy mountains, an incredible thing was hiding beneath the ice. For years, researchers had been on the hunt, and finally, after careful searching, they made an amazing discovery. What they found wasn't just any artifact, but a perfectly preserved pair of skis. One ski was found in 2014, but the second uncovered recently was even better preserved. These skis are 1,300 years old, dating back to a time before the Vikings. It's like finding ancient sports gear from a forgotten era. Aero Bonanza. High in the frozen mountains of Norway, scientists came across something hidden beneath layers of ice. As they uncovered, they realized they had uncovered a treasure older than they had ever imagined. What they found were 68 ancient arrows, some dating back 6,000 years. These arrows are even older than Ötzi the Iceman. These arrows, from the Stone Age to medieval times, show how ancient people hunted reindeer. It's like opening a frozen part of history. Desert mystery. In a faraway corner of Oregon, a strange event happened in September 1990. A huge design appeared on a dry lake bed in the Alvord Desert. It was so big that you couldn't see it from the ground, but from high up in the sky, it looked amazing. The design was made of circles and lines, all perfectly drawn. It was so big, people started wondering who made it. Was it aliens? Artists? No one knew for sure. Even the military was confused when they saw it during a flight. But soon, the truth came out. A group of artists from Iowa had made the design by hand. They used simple tools and worked hard for 10 days in the hot desert. It was their way of making a beautiful, giant piece of art. Mysterious sword phrase.
Odin has this spear that almost seems to be laser guided.
A video was uploaded online that soon became the talk of the town. It showed that 1,000 years ago, Viking warriors carried special swords into battle. These weren't just any weapons, they were Ulfbert swords, named after the strange word carved into their blades. In museums across Europe, these ancient swords still amaze people today. They're so strong and sharp, it's hard to believe they were made so long ago. The Vikings used very hot fires to make these swords. Even now, no one knows exactly how the Vikings created these super strong blades. The Ulfbert swords remain a puzzle from the past, leaving us to wonder about the secrets of these mysterious Viking weapons. Icy wolf.
There we go.
There's a set of teeth.
Some men were digging in icy ground, looking for old elephant teeth when they found an unexpected species part, a big wolf head. It looked like the wolf passed away just last week, but it was very, very old.
In here, it's a little odd.
The head was 2 feet long and had fur, skin, and even its tongue. Experts were very excited. They put the wolf's head on a table to study it. They said it was the best old wolf ever found. It was from a time long ago when the world was covered in ice. Sea-aged wine. In Croatia, a winemaker had a unique idea. He loved both winemaking and scuba diving, so he combined his two favorite things. He built a special underwater winery 75 feet below the sea. He put wine bottles in clay jars and secured them in cages on the seafloor. The wine stayed there for a year and a half. He believed the ocean made his wine taste extra special. He thought it would give the wine a rich flavor that you can't get from aging wine on land. Now people can enjoy wine blessed by the sea.
Koji se događaju u podrumima sigurno utječu, jer to je jedan živi organizam, utječu na vino.
Pompeiis Victims. In the old ruins of Pompeii, archaeologists uncovered a remarkable find that will make you speechless. They found the remains of two men who passed away when a volcano erupted a long time ago. The bodies were on the stairs of an old house. Experts made special casts of the skeletons to learn more about them. They thought that one man was rich and in his 30s or 40s. The other man was younger, maybe 18 to 25, and could have been a servant. This discovery helps us understand more about life in Pompeii before the volcano buried it 2,000 years ago. Egypt's Sleeping Beauty. A video on social media showed a unique sight that you surely don't want to miss. It showed that in ancient Egypt, there was a pharaoh named Seti IV. His mummy was special because it looked so good after 3,000 years. It looked like it was just sleeping.
But frankly, Seti has had quite a lot of work done.
Scientists studied Seti's mummy and found out why he looked so young. The ancient Egyptians were very clever. They put feathers in his cheeks and around his nose to make his face look full. They wanted Seti to look perfect for his journey to the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that in the afterlife, a person should look like their gods. Ancient Antarctic forest. Scientists from UW-Milwaukee went on an exciting trip to Antarctica. They were looking for very old plants. And they were more than that. They discovered a fossil forest that is older than the first dinosaurs.
We found about half of the fossil forest on the entire continent of Antarctica.
The scientists spent 2 months digging and studying the rocks. They found special marks that showed plants had lived there long ago. This discovery will tell us how life started on Earth. It's like finding a really old history book, but written in rocks. Crocodile mummies. In Egypt, archaeologists revealed a fascinating finding in an old tomb. What could it be? Mummified crocodiles that were 2,000 years old. These were found in 2019 at a place called Kubat al-Hawa during digging. Just like the ancient Egyptians mummified people, they also mummified the animals. These crocodile mummies will give us more information about ancient Egyptian beliefs and customs. It shows how important animals were in their culture. Ancient Croc Makeover. At the British Museum, a really old crocodile mummy got ready for its first show in 75 years. This croc is super special. It's the biggest mummy in the whole museum.
The crocodile mummy is one of the most amazing things in our collection. It is the largest mummy that the British Museum owns. We haven't seen it on display for over 75 years.
The person who takes care of mummies worked hard to get the croc ready. She cleaned it very carefully with tiny tools. She even fixed little cracks to make sure nothing would fall off. Scientists used a special X-ray machine to look inside the mummy. They found stones in its tummy and even its last meal. On the croc's back, they found about 30 baby crocodile mummies. Now, visitors can see this amazing 4-meter-long crocodile mummy and get to know about ancient Egyptians who thought crocodiles were like gods.
It arrived in the museum in 1895. It was excavated at a site called Komombo, which is located about 50 kilometers north of Aswan.
Egypt's croc mummies. In Egypt, researchers found some very old crocodile mummies. These special mummies were discovered near a temple in a place called Aswan. A long time ago, between 180 and 47 years before Christ, people built a temple. They found crocodiles there. This was almost 2,000 years ago. Now people can see these cool crocodile mummies in a special museum in Egypt. It's called the Crocodile Museum. Visitors can learn about how ancient Egyptians thought crocodiles were critical animals. King Tut's new home. In Egypt, an exciting event occurred, so get ready. People saw King Tutankhamun's mummy for the first time. He was a young boy and a king who lived nearly 3,000 years ago. Scientists gently took his mummy out of his stone coffin. They put him in a special glass box to keep him safe. Now, visitors can see his face and feet. A famous Egyptian scientist explained why they moved King Tut. He said too many people visiting the tomb could harm the mummy. The glass box will protect King Tut so people can see him for many more years to come. Subscribers pick. In the icy Arctic, a team of explorers made an incredible discovery. Want to know about it? They found a Neanderthal man frozen in ice. Scientists believe he had been there for 40,000 years. Carefully, the team brought the Iceman back to their lab. To everyone's surprise, they managed to bring him back to life. It felt like magic. An ancient man awakened after thousands of years. The scientists wanted to study him, but a young anthropologist had a different idea. She suggested letting the Iceman explore and learn about our world, thinking this would be the best way to understand him. Now, the team faces a big challenge, helping this ancient visitor adapt to life in the 21st century.